And legend, common legend. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, what's good?
Comic Legend will not be joining us today because he's sick.
Yeah.
Oh,
So maybe some other time with him.
But
all right.
yeah,
Yeah.
What's up?
we can I guess we can start how we started last time. How's the project going? How is
It's going well so far. Like I was saying, speaking to a few combat designers to help me flesh out the combat. We made a couple of changes. But right now, what the developer is looking for is just get through some basic combos of main enemies and the main character, so I can pitch it to other people to hop on board the project, so they get an understanding of what is going to be required of them, what they have to program and stuff like that, and the feel of the game. So that's where we're heading to this week.
have you figured out, or do you remember any of the stuff that I think we went over last time? Because I don't remember everything that was said.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Okay. How's the physics webs things coming along? Because I do remember that.
So I spoke to him about that, and he said that may be tricky. The issue with that is that it has to be more of a controlled environment to an extent. There's obviously going to be glitches and stuff like that, but to have the same physics of what's that game called?
Tears of the Kingdom?
No, where he has the websuit and flying around. I forgot what it's called.
Just Cause?
Just Cause, yes. Because I was talking about Just Cause and using that. And he's like, yeah, that can be tricky. I have to use that, but it can be done. So I'm guessing if we go that direction, that's where a good chunk of the upcoming time for the prototype is probably going to be spent on making sure that works.
Okay.
But other than that, he says everything else is pretty standard, which I was surprised.
Gotcha. I think we were talking about the did you get the healing system figured out? It was like the healing and like something like a focus bar or something like that. I forget what we were talking about last time.
Sense?
No, I don't think it was.
Yeah, so the healing, I think we talked about how it was going to be just automatic healing.
Automatic healing, yeah. Oh, well, there was like a bar or
regenerative or something like that. Yeah, regenerative healing.
Okay. Well, like for the combos and stuff to like do stuff. Wasn't there like some other bar?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the hypersense bar. Well, is there any stuff made on that, or like progress made on that, or changes?
Everything with that has been pretty solid. It's the same thing.
All right. Well, because I was playing Stellar Blade recently, and they've got like you know how they've got, I don't know if you played it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you know how they got the beta and burst energies, and you kind of like do two different things to kind of build them up. I think something like that could be utilized with combos, because I think the combos in that game are like really well done.
Yeah, so how it's going to work with that would be, you know, the web bar and then the hypersense bar.
Yeah. So it'd be like pretty much the same thing. Like
so all the special moves for webs would be used from the web bar, and then all the melee and combat would be used from the hypersense bar.
Yeah. I think could you just like run down the other stuff that was talked about last time, because I don't remember everything. I'm trying to like think.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Or just the stuff like moves wise, like combo wise or mechanics wise that would be in the game as well.
Where's the cover? I'm saying document. Project 1.
Did you while we're waiting, did you rewatch the Raimi trilogy in theaters?
Of course, good sir.
Yeah, let's go.
The GOAT.
Spider-Man 2, absolutely peak.
Yeah, so what I have to figure out at the moment is the flow between the enemies and Spider's powers. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So of seeing how the because that's what we were talking about. One of the combat designers of the taunt mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Where was it? Well, we talked about the enrage, right? You taunt so many times, you enrage the enemy then changes. He can get buffs or change his style completely. But there was also something we switched about that where there is a reward. Let me see if I can find it. He's just trying to understand the taunt concept of this would be was enraged. So the distinctive factor was that the standard thug, blah blah blah. So whatever sort of if you didn't taunt right, just make the enemy stronger. I've been thinking about the better reward player for the taunt. Okay. Yeah, so the incentivization would be, you gain XP, which allows you to unlock, suits and upgrades.
Gotcha.
Whereas the risk is that, the enemy that you're dealing with gets stronger, right?
Mm.
So it would be a high skill bar to an extent that allows players, like if a person wants to make everyone they're fighting just high enemy damage players to increase the level of difficulty without actually increasing the difficulty setting, that is one option.
Gotcha.
So it was the concept of allowing people to play the way they want, in a sense, while still allowing the same fun that a more advanced player would have. And I think we went over that with we were talking about, wasn't the taunt mechanic, it was something else. Oh yeah, the linking. Because I was talking to him like, yo, how do I modernize the linking from Path of Neo?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that we came up with was where is it? So there would be a Gears of War like timing.
Yeah.
But you would also have access to the linking upon like a perfect dodge. So upon a perfect dodge, then you can link up, up to 3 or 4 players depending on where you are in the game or upgraded. But if you weren't good at timing, you would also be able to have access to that ability once you got the stun meter high enough on the enemy.
Gotcha.
So
the taunt mechanic, I don't remember. It was it was like you had to perfect dodge, right, in order to like get out of it, and it was like a smaller window than a regular dodge when you're doing the taunt.
So we were thinking about removing the taunt mechanic being with the perfect dodge.
Mm-hmm.
The taunt mechanic would just be something that you can use anytime.
Right. Well, I'm saying like when you do the taunt mechanic, so that there's like a more of a risk to it. I feel like because you did say the enemies will get stronger, and that's good. But like I feel like if you you mixed that with the perfect dodge, like you had to perfect dodge on a taunt, that would be that would be better.
Like a hypersense perfect taunt or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a regular taunt, and then you have an additional taunt upon a perfect dodge.
Well, no, they would kind of just be linked to the same thing, but you'll get like more of the hypersense bar.
I don't get what you're saying.
So if you taunt them, right, and you fail, they'll still get more mad, but if you get the dodge, then you'll get more shit to your hypersense bar.
So if you taunt them, taunt, and they try to attack you, and you dodge, you do a perfect dodge.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the taunt, you get additional hypersense.
Yeah, or web, either one.
Okay.
You could have. Was there a parry mechanic in the game, or was it just dodging?
No, there wasn't a parry mechanic. So that was something that I was talking to him about. Was possibly adding a deflect.
Yeah.
So instead of a parry, I can't stand parry. But one thing that Spider-Man has done in like the comics and movies is deflect attacks from enemies into other enemies.
Gotcha.
So, but it would have to be, the thing is, so the dodge wouldn't allow you to do that. Regular dodge would allow you to, if an enemy was close to you, that would allow them to hit the other enemy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the deflect would allow you to manually change where that attack was going. So if somebody was about to kick you and you deflected at the perfect time, you would have a few seconds to guide which person that he actually kicks.
Yeah, I'm kind of picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. Like, cause I know in like Sifu, for example, you can you'll like hit someone and you'll like toss them. You can like throw them.
Yeah.
So something like that. Yeah, I think that could be neat. Is this gonna be more like animation based, like enemies, or are they gonna have some ragdoll in there?
I would like to have both, to be honest with you. But I know there's not a lot of games that do ragdoll for some reason.
Yeah, I think ragdoll physics are great.
I think they're fun to see too. I mean, it just depends on which is easier. I'm thinking ragdoll is easier. Yeah. But I'd have to see if it looks funky upon that happening, where I'd have to add in like certain animations and then it goes to ragdoll, right? Where you'll have like a death animation, and then once the death animation plays, I don't know if you've ever seen this. I think they had this in like Saints Row or something, but after the animation plays, then it goes, they go limp and it looks funny. But that's what I was thinking.
I don't know so did you settle on the air combat yet? Or are you doing that? Or are you not doing that?
I'm not really sold on it though. I'm thinking what the thing that I'm thinking is possibly having enemies or somehow maybe web yanking enemies into the air, and then you doing like the grab from Spider-Verse and stuff like that, or certain counters like that. But I don't know about. I'm not a big fan of the air combat. I could be wrong, and we later on we see, okay, we definitely need it. But as of right now, I'm not really sold on it.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is like, because I think one thing that like Spider-Man 2, the one mechanic that they added was the bounce mechanic. Like, how you can like dribble people off the pavement. I think something like that, if it was conjoined with what was the web gadgets, or maybe not web gadgets necessarily, but like web mechanics. There was the web linking, the physics thing that you said you were working on, and like a web bomb, and then like regular web shooters and stuff, right? Did we talk about?
What do you think about? Have you played Yakuza or Yakuza?
Have not played Yakuza.
Okay, yeah. So they have like a enemy bouncing, but it's not like air combat. It's just that you can juggle them. You're just not doing it in the air.
Interesting. I mean, I'd have to see what that looks like, because I don't really. Is there a way you can like show
check
me?
It out and see what you think about it.
I'm like wondering, where do I like see it?
You can go on YouTube. Just Yakuza combos or something like that.
Or I'm thinking Yakuza game.
Any of them, honestly. You can go Yakuza 6 or Judgment. Judgment's a good one. Or like how God of War. You play God of War, right?
Which one?
The recent one.
Yeah. Like
how they have the air combos like that? He's not in the air, but the person's in the air.
Oh, so you're saying like when you use the Blades of Chaos and you like pull someone in the air and then you throw them down and they bounce back up.
Yeah, and you juggle them in the air.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That's cool, but like I feel like the bouncing mixed with like, because if you get like multiple people up in the air, right? Mm-hmm. And you because this is something that I would have liked to more in Spider-Man 2, is like more of the gadgets from the first game mixed with the new additions with like like the bounce mechanic and the other just regular general combos that you can do. I think if you have gadgets like that mixed in with like features like that, it's like there's really creative things that you can do, especially if you have the physics linking, like the physics web linking. Like let's say you have a way, like a mechanic that like you can pull two people up in the air at the same time, then you web link them while they're both in the same while they're both in the air, and then you like link two webs to both of those enemies, and then you like kind of go to the middle of the two enemies, like launch yourself to the middle like a tightrope pretty much, and then the two enemies kind of like smack each other in the head. If you can kind of like visualize that, I guess.
Jump up, web link two enemies, and they come together and smack each other in the head while they're in the air.
Yeah, like you know how if you have like how in like Spider-Man PS4, you have the like the suspension matrix, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like two enemies right next to each other, and then like if you were to use like a granted with the in that game they would just get webbed to the ground, but like if you have like a trip mine, you'll pull them closer to each other. So if you have something like that, but it's not an automatic like knockout, it's like you can do something like that, and then you keep mixing it in with like the bounce mechanic with other stuff. Like let's say you bounce off an enemy, then you web link them, and then you like you bring yourself over like a pole or something. And then now they're being entangled with that. Like there's just creative stuff. I feel like creativity with that is just like
where
really...
you mean the web is like active then?
Wait, what?
Where the web is like active, where if they're linked together, are you talking about like nunchucks type of link where there's space in between? Or are they face to face?
Well, it's hard to see it without really visualizing it. Let me just do something real quick with stick figures, and then I'll put it in the chat. Real quick. So like, let's say you have 1 second. So you got Spider-Man doing his thing, right? Like, that's not the right pencil? What the fuck? Okay, you got Spider-Man doing his thing, Spidey, and then you got like Web shoots at this guy. You do this, and then you kind of like Alright, now I just have to save it and put it in the chat. So basically, alright, you should be able to see it right now. So like, let's say you've like the thing shooting out of the stick, the left guy is Spider-Man. You can see it, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
So like the left guy is Spider-Man, the thing that the line is shooting out, that's the web. You link him to that, and then you can kind of like throw him, but like you'll still have the thing, and since there's like physics, you will either be able to like jump to the left, and you can still like, make him twirl around the pole, or you can throw him around the pole, and then maybe like kick him, or like punch him that like backwards. Or another thing you could do is you could use like the bounce mechanic again. Like, let's say hypothetically in Spider-Man 2, you bounce off someone and then like web strike to them. It would kind of be like that, but instead it's like a paddle ball type thing. Like what game? Web of Shadows I think does it. Wait, no, I don't know if Web of Shadows does it actually. But you know what a paddle ball is, right? Like where you smack it and it goes back and forth. Like something like that could be neat.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see how would you accomplish that. You're saying you web him to the pole, and he's just dangling from the pole?
Well, that was one thing. All right, so like, fucking. Let me just do let me do up another mock-up real quick.
Because a lot of the pole stuff and things like that would be like takedowns.
Gotcha. So like, this is the other side of the pole. You just went back right here. Holy shit.
Are there any games that you think have really good combos? Or stylistic?
DMC, Hi-Fi Rush, the original God of Wars, Stellar Blade, all the Insomniac Spider-Man games. They're not like combo like necessarily like button combos, but there's creative stuff you can do with that. I'm trying to think of games off the top of my head.
Well, what do you think of Smash Bros? You ever played that?
Yeah, I play Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Spidey. So like, he would bring this guy, and then this guy would be dangling. Right. This is such a bad drawing, but we'll make it work. And then like.
Ninja Gaiden, some good combos. Okay. I'm just trying to balance as far as one thing not being completely OP, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, another thing I'm wondering, actually we can talk about it after this. So this was like pretty much the concept from left to right. So like, or like all three images would just be like a sequence, right? Like you grab the guy, you jump over the pole or, you know, throw him over the pole, and then you're on the other side, he's dangling, and then you like swing kick him or some shit.
Okay, yeah. So I was thinking of more of that to be like a takedown, where if you're close to a pole and the person is stunned enough, you can initiate a takedown and he'll do that animation. Because I'm trying to think, I don't know how you would be able to recreate that with physics.
So you'd have to. With the web linking stuff, if you have it wrapped around the pole, then the enemy would also be wrapped to the pole, right? So you could have it so that when the web, like, you know how in Spider-Man 2 movie game, when the web interacts with a building, it gets shorter? So you could have it like that, but when you jump over the pole, the web line gets shorter, it's no longer in your hand, it's the guy's now stuck to the pole, so it's no longer in your hands, and then you turn around and you do a swing kick. Or let's say that pole's next to a wall, like, and you jump over the pole and you leave him dangling. You could do like something like how in the Insomniac games you can bounce off a wall and punch someone. Like, it's just, there's so many different things that could lead into that. You could even clothesline them after that, or something like that, or do the paddle ball stuff. I think if you want to make it a finisher, that's fine, but like that just feels more restrictive and less creative.
Well, I'm just thinking of as far as how, because it would have to be like it would be essentially that would have to be a mechanic.
What?
In order to throw them over there and then do a clothesline or to use a kick or something like that.
Yeah, I thought you said the I think I remember you saying there's going to be
the clothesline was going to be on the ground.
I mean, you can still have it, right? Like, if you were to have them dangling, like, I'm sure the clothesline would still probably work. Like, if you were to, let's say so how is it going to work in your game? Was it going to kind of be like Arkham, where you, like, pull them towards you, and you hit them with okay. So, I mean, if it's going to be like that, I feel like it still could work. Like, if you were to let's say you web strike to them or something, and it would kind of be even funnier because they could like spin around while they're still like attached to the web. Like, let's say you hit them and they swing around like you ever seen like a swing set? Someone like does a double loop.
Yeah,
on a swing set
so it'd be kind of like a Spider-Man 2 PS2.
Yeah,
where you'd web someone to the lamppost and they just swing around like that.
Yeah, but it's more interactable. Like, they're not instantly knocked out when they're webbed up like that, because in the movie game that's kind of what happens.
But they still talk, don't they?
I feel like they still talk, but I don't know if they're interactable after you web them up to the pole.
So how would they be interactable after they're webbed to the pole?
So
how do you see that working?
I mean, it would just come down to the engine, I guess, or like how the programmers can do it. Like, granted, I don't know how you would program physics like that, but it would pretty much be like the same way that they're still active and available enemies to hit. Like, you know how in the Insomniac games when they're dead, you can't like combo them anymore. Yeah. It's like they would still be comboable even when they're swinging from that pole.
Got you. Okay. So like Spider-Man 2, the PS2 one.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Rhino one where he's just dangling and you can just punch him and he'll be like, "Oh, stop it."
I haven't played that game in a long time, so no, I don't remember that.
Got you. Okay.
But if that's what happens, yeah, it would be similar. And the other question I was gonna ask, is this gonna be really combo? So what's the style gonna be like? Because there's like, there's styles where it's like the enemies. How do I describe this? There's styles like the Insomniac games versus DMC. Like I feel like when you play DMC, for example, it's combo heavy, extremely combo focused. Enemies aren't attacking you as frequently. You don't have to worry about enemies attacking you as often. Whereas the Insomniac games kind of hits like a middle ground where it's like you can go crazy with like combos and attacking enemies and you feel really powerful, but at the same time you have to watch out a lot because like there's multiple different things that can attack you and multiple different like enemy variety and stuff they can throw at you. And then you have a game like Jedi Survivor, Dark Souls, where it's like it's really actually I feel like Dark Souls is more in line with what I'm saying. It's like it's really focused on enemy engagement. So like what's the combat style?
I'm thinking of Spider-Man 2 probably meets Arkham when it comes to that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so it's like the nice middle grounds. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so I still think that works, like these mechanics, because you got
I want to be very much focused on style.
Yeah. All right. So I said that. Did you see anything about the sewer grate stuff potentially?
What do you mean?
I don't know if you remember, but it was like you pick up.
I remember. Yeah, I told them. They said that's all that's fine. All that's standard. It's not gonna be difficult to pull that off.
Well, like which part of it though? Like throwing it?
Throwing it or doing the my friend Pedro type thing.
Yeah, like the ricochet stuff. Okay, yeah, that's good. How would the character interact with that though? So like when you because you know how like the impact works, the impact web works, where they like fly, or they kind of like get sent in a different direction, or would it just like it bounces off and they are just like?
So it would work as like Wolverine Origins or Sleeping Dogs, where there would be certain interactable things in the environment. So I have to see whether or not that would be triggered to the hypersense, where you get to see them, kind of like detective vision.
Well, no, I'm more asking like how would the enemy react when they're hit with like the ricochet web, for example, off like the sewer grate?
Oh, they would be webbed up.
Yeah, I know, but like, would they go flying like an impact web, or would they just be webbed up and like floating in the air, kind of? I'm
thinking they would just be webbed up and pushed back.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Because I don't have anything to because maybe we could do from that and then flow that into web linking, where you have certain moves available to you if the enemy's in the air while you're doing the linking as opposed to on the ground. But I would have to see how that flows.
So what were all the web mechanics again? There was the linking, just so I know all the mechanics so I can think of stuff real quick.
There was web linking. For right now, there was the web fist. There was the web shield. I wasn't sold on that one yet. And then the web balls and stuff.
So how do the web fists work? Is it like Shattered Dimensions type thing?
Shattered Dimensions. I don't remember Shattered Dimensions web fist.
Well, you remember like Shattered Dimensions had like the web hammers and stuff you could make. I'm wondering if it's like that or something.
Oh, got you. No, it'd just be a classic web fist with back in the PS2 era where he'd just web up his fist.
Okay. I think it would be in the best interest to add in some gadgets-esque stuff for creativity. Especially with how the physics stuff. Like stuff like a trip mine, stuff like stuff like a web bomb. I think those things would intertwine nicely with the mechanics, like the physics mechanics in the game. And it could create, or it could have a lot of room for creativity. What was the web ball you said? Just a
web ball, like from Spider-Man 2 movie, where it'd be more like Devil May Cry's, Ivory and I forgot the other one.
Oh, so I get what you're saying. So it's kind of like a stun-esque thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Web their feet, they fall on their face or go blind for a bit. How does that idea sound? Well, yeah, that was with the web linking name. So right now you would have 3 options: head, chest, or feet. But with the regular, you also have the ability, if they're running at you, to web them up and they just, fall flat. Web their feet.
How were you thinking, or what were you feeling about the gadgets, like the trip mine and like a web bomb?
I'm not a big fan of the gadgets at all.
Gotcha.
Because I also think that draws just too strong of a comparison to the Insomniac's version.
So you want to go old school?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm trying to think. We got that. So what were the?
I think, as far as gadgets, the only gadget I would want would be the web shooters. Now,
Gotcha.
You would upgrade, because I'm still thinking about, as far as once you beat enemies and stuff like that, they drop little trinkets and gadgets that you can upgrade your web shooters with. That'll then allow you to go from, webbing up 1 enemy to 2 enemies, grabbing 1 enemy to 2 enemies, 3 enemies, things like that.
How are you? So let's say you link. Because I feel like the web link has a lot of potential, with how it could interact with people. So if you link for example, like let's say you hit an enemy and then you link it to like a wall, will they get sent flying back towards the wall?
Yeah.
All right. How would you feel about making it so that they like also bounce off the wall if they have enough momentum?
They bounce off the wall, and
they bounce off the wall and they bounce back to you, so you could like clothesline them or something.
Oh, they bounce off the wall?
Yeah, like
okay. No, that's interesting. Okay, so as opposed to the enemy just being a KO, it would be more of a to make some space.
Hold on. I don't know if you're quite understanding. I'll just
you web them to the wall and they bounce off the wall, and then you have the opportunity to use as a setup to web strike them and then punch them again or whatever.
Yeah. All right, so yeah. You didn't get it. All right. Yeah, I think that would be neat. I think as far as like combos, like button combos, what were you? Because I saw the you web them, then you like go back towards them, right? Like the web strike that like, and then you go back.
So with the web strike, I wanted there to be various options depending on the enemies, right? Because obviously with the shield, with those who may have bombs or something like that, it's just figuring out how that interacts with other enemy types. That's the thing. So once I solidify what his powers are precisely, then I think it'll be easier to see how enemies will respond to like a web strike or attack and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Well, the one I thought was interesting because it did remind me of something in Stellar Blade, like this. Here, I'll put it. Just like I just linked it, or like
slap enemies around with loose web lines, kind of like whips. The way Ghost Rider has his chains, but instead, nah, I don't know about that one.
Did you see the link? Like, it's not like an actual link. It's just like a link to a message up top, so you know what the message I'm talking about. So, what was the
1SFGWA?
Yeah, I know. Like, click the thing it's replying to.
Oh, got you.
So like, what was you said we're gonna have something like that? What was in mind?
What was this? Let me see. I'm looking at it. What was in mind? Oh, so okay, I guess.
Because I was thinking like when you do the mechanic you showed, like where it you web strike to them and then you go back to them and you like punch them in the other direction. Because like in Stellar Blade when you do it, you can then do the like the anime-esque a million sword slashes and then they just like fall. I feel like with Spider-Man it could be like the how in the comics there's like the low opacity movements where it looks like a ghost kind of.
Yeah.
It could be like that, and then you like bounce around a bunch of different enemies, whether they're in like a set circle. Like I know, like a designer would have like a certain AOE, so it hits whatever enemies are in that AOE. Like that could be cool as shit.
You bounce around. So that reminds me of Spider-Man 3.
Like the game?
Yeah. So Spider-Man 3, he has an attack like that. I don't know, where he bounces around multiple enemies.
Gotcha. I haven't played that game, so I don't.
You haven't played Spider-Man 3?
Have not played it. It's bad, so I didn't really care to play it.
Wow. No, Spider-Man 3's combat is pretty solid for the most part. But yeah, he has an attack like that where he bounces around enemies and things. I just saw that as a way to close the distance for long-range enemies. That opens up. I just wanted to have an opportunity of different options. I just have to think about what the options are. I'd like maybe a dodge, obviously, a heavy, or to use them as a grab. Maybe it's not anything new per se, but it allows you to use what's already in your arsenal. So if you do a web strike, then you can go from a web strike to throwing them into another enemy, if that makes sense, or to go for damage.
Gotcha.
And attack them.
I think there's a lot of potential that you could do with that. Just overall, because like the way that like I think the way the button combos are set up in like Stellar Blade, with like as you progress throughout the game, you just add more. Like you'll have like the beta skills or the burst skills or just like your regular skills, and then like the more you progress, the skill tree will add more to those button combos. So I think something like that, especially for progression, would be really good for the design. I feel like it keeps the level design fresh too, because I feel like one of the key parts that you need for level design is like being introduced to something new. If it's not, depending on the scale of the game, you want to be introduced to something new or have something new to play around with, whether it's environmental or combat upgrade related. That just feels like a new experience more and more and more. It's one of the things I really like about Stellar Blade and Hi-Fi Rush.
What? The environment?
Well, not just the environment, just the feeling of like you go to the next level and it's like, oh, this is cool, this is new. Like, so it just feels like it gets better and better and better the more you play.
Okay. But one of the things I was having a difficulty with was coming up with interactables within the environment.
Gotcha.
So you know how Wolverine Origins has like the spikes in the ground and stuff like that? We have obviously the manhole cover, but I've been thinking about what other, obviously cars and things like that, but I'm trying to think of like some other quick interactables that are like, fast payoffs.
I think something that could be interesting, it's dependent on the weight of the object. Like, if you use the web link on like a trash can, for example, then the trash can would just come flying at the guy. Whereas if you attach them to like a car or like a garbage bin, then they'll do that thing that I was talking about earlier, where they'll just get sent flying back and then bounce towards you. I think because there's like, depending on where the game is set, I feel like there's just like environmental stuff, whether it's windows, car doors, tires, trash cans, trash bins. Like I feel like the bottles, bats. I feel like there's a plethora of things that you could use. You could even have it so where like, depending on let's say you pick up an item like or you give yourself, because you said there was gonna be like web bats, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think we're adding web bats.
Oh, okay. Well, let's say you pick up a bat. You could even have like a certain combo string change based on if you pick up a weapon, so you'll have something added to that combo string.
Yeah, but I mean like not interactable weapons. I mean like in Sleeping Dogs, where you can kill someone via, I don't know, fire, drowning them, stuff like that, things that are in the environment.
I think,
or like in Wolverine Origins, where you can throw them into a spike.
Let's say that. All right, what do you think about this? So the character, I mean, like Spider-Man is obviously a very smart guy. So like, let's say you were in like a chemical factory. It wouldn't even need to be a chemical factory or something. It could just be gamified, where it's like, let's say you have 2 vials of something, and they would create like a kind of an explosion, and then there would just be a like fire on the ground if they bang into each other, kind of like an explosive barrel in a game, but like more interactable. So like, let's say you web link these 2 vials together, then you just have like fire on the ground, then you can push people into that. Or it could be like ice.
Be like ice.
Okay. Like liquid nitrogen or something. Like, let's say you pull a pipe out of something. Yeah, you have them like Lizard in THUMPCAST 1.
I don't remember THUMPCAST 1.
They chose a fucking human head for a lizard.
Interesting. So that would the only thing I'm thinking of that would bring in another dynamic that would have to be balanced. That's all. So I'm thinking of just like, that's just added work. It's cool, but I'm like, then you would have to balance how many fire things, how many ice things, the enemy types that are available, or the damage it does.
Well, Tears. Have you played Tears of the Kingdom?
No.
So basically, in that game, if you freeze someone, they take more damage from your attacks.
That's it? There's nothing else?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
You've also got like electricity stuff that could like makes people, I mean, if I'm just talking about Tears, that makes like enemies drop their weapons or something. I don't know how you would want to utilize the electricity in this game other than just electrocuting them.
Yeah. The thing is, I'd have to think of which enemy types are going to be more impacted by one over the other, or if it's all just even all the way around.
You could have it so that like the grunt-esque enemies get like they're more affected than like heavy or medium type enemies. You could even have like resistant enemies. Like just use the same model of like grunt and then just like code that so that they're not affected by the elemental stuff.
That's fair. That's an interesting take. So you're saying it would be more like I don't know. I like it, but I'm thinking so it'd be essentially dumbed down, because how I was thinking it would be similar to what you said, where it'd be honestly like a science test or something within the game, right? Where chemical A and chemical B equals this.
Yeah.
Kind of like an RPG where it's like, okay, this plus that I don't know if you know MK11, where like certain items created certain things.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that would be just a little too complicated unless it was just completely dumbed down, right? Like A plus B equals C, B plus C equals D, something like that. As opposed to this item is just electric, right? Where if you pull the wire down over this puddle, they'll be electrocuted.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Right.
That would be neat to do. Like, you could get like a junction box and link it to a puddle or something. Like web link it to a puddle. Or or if you have like, let's say you throw an enemy or web link an enemy to a junction box and they get pulled towards it, then that enemy has like electricity all over him. Like let's say you had like a water truck, right? In the environment, and you like made like a small little puddle, and then you got like a junction box. You kind of like drew in a bunch of enemies. Granted, the damage, you could have it to where like it doesn't do that much damage, but it kind of stuns them. So you have like this puddle in the ground, and then you web link like a junction box to that puddle. So then that puddle is now electrocuted, and the enemies are just kind of standing in there. Or you could have it to where like you throw an enemy into that junction box and then toss him into the puddle with the other enemies as well.
Okay, I get you.
Because like the enemy would have like you know how in the Insomniac games they've got like the like when you electrocute them, they still got the sparks coming off of them and stuff, so they're still electrocuted.
Okay, so say you have those areas around, there would have to be a way for the player to throw them in that area. So I guess you could do it with the grab button.
Link. Or
or the web link. Okay, that's interesting. And you just keep it simple. Maybe fire, water, and then
electricity. Yeah.
Now I want to push it a step further, but I don't want to at the same time. Whereas certain enemies are more prone to fire, water, and electricity. That's the only thing.
I feel like that would create more balancing. That would create more issues than it would solve.
Yeah.
Or add.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like it would be better to do the opposite, where some enemies aren't as affected by it.
Okay.
This could even string into like boss fights too. Like say you're fighting Venom or something, and you have like these things that you have to manipulate the physics to create fire and draw Venom into it or something. Just as an example. Or like Doc Ock with electricity.
Interesting.
Just make sure you don't have the boss fight on like a copper Statue of Liberty, because that just wouldn't make sense.
Got you. It's interesting. Okay.
So what were you thinking about the level design, if we can move to that a little bit?
I'm not sure. I'd see it as similar to I don't know, it depends, because I'm thinking of one way, but it also depends on what's possible. I know it's possible, but what would be financially possible?
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I remember last time we were talking about like exploration in there. Even some puzzles. Because I know something I like, something that I think Stellar Blade recently does really well is it mixes up that combat gameplay with explorative-esque puzzles. And if you're gonna have like this crazy ass physics system in the game, I feel like there's some really interesting stuff that could be done with puzzles. And like you could even throw in like algebra puzzles, because Peter's like, you know, scientist and shit. It would be fitting with the game, and it would also be kind of neat to do.
So I was talking to him about this exploration and whatnot. He was saying that I would have to extremely limit that because it would expand the scope of the game. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I see.
So I was thinking instead, maybe certain maneuvers or certain things that you can do in the arena that unlocks, right? Art or audio logs and stuff like that, as opposed to looking for the audio logs and finding them.
Well, you're gonna have like going from one room to another room for combat encounters, right? Like you're just gonna be moving, like throughout the level, right? So like if you have like this physics system, you could set it up where it's not even like, I mean, it would still kind of be like a puzzle, but it would be like a platforming-esque puzzle. Like let's say you need to pull down like a bridge or something, or like you use a web link to get across a gap instead of like web swinging. I feel like that's more engaging than just like swinging to the other side or something.
Okay. I just I just have to figure out how ways to keep it interesting. That's all, because I don't want people to get burned out over all combat.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, that's why I think it's important to have exploration and puzzles in there.
Well, I was gonna have like little mini missions, kind of like in Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, where you have to save civilians as you're chasing, Rhino or something like that.
I mean, you could also have, say, have you ever played any of the Lego Batman games?
No.
So in those games, there's like they call it a citizen in peril, where throughout the level, there's like a civilian in trouble that you need to find, and they'll either be getting attacked, or you have to do like a puzzle to get to them, while like within the level. Something like that could be cool. And if you get like all the citizens in trouble throughout the level, or all the collectibles or something throughout the level, then you get like a suit or something. Yeah,
no, I don't disagree. I just have to see, as far as once combat is done, like what I can do with the level design. That's the thing, because I was thinking of more of the Arkham arenas.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's
kind of like
where it's just an open. Yeah, where it's just an open. It's just an open arena essentially.
Yeah, I feel like that's very necessary in a game like that for replayability. It's one of the things that I don't like that Insomniac doesn't have, except for the bases that you can replay. But I feel like if you have like an unlimited combat encounter, like Iceberg Lounge in Arkham Knight or City, that's just something that adds replayability.
Well, I was seeing that as the game. That's the thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, that still works. Like, if you're going through
just open arenas and, a cutscene takes you to the next one.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that works.
That's why. So
I also, but like outside of the main levels, I feel like something like a fight till you die, unlimited combat encounter would be kind of
like a bonus, stuff like that. Got you. Okay. All right. Are there any moves that you are like must have, you feel?
Definitely have him flip around if you haven't already. Do very unique looking stylistic flips. That's what I like about Spider-Man.
Flips.
Like when you dodge or something.
Yeah.
I think I mean, I'm still banking on like a horse with a gun. I think I'm still banking on that. I think but like unironically, I think they should. I think the bounce mechanic, like even if you don't want to have air, I feel like air combat is it just adds a new layer of gameplay. Because like when I look at like Arkham compared to Spider-Man, I feel like a very clear advantage that Spider-Man has that just inherently adds more layers is the air combat and the stuff and the way you can creatively link that with ground combat. I also think If so, what do you think the movements like? You wanted to be moving fast around, right?
Yeah, I mean a decent speed. I want him to be a speedster, but I want him to feel superhuman.
So at the
So we're not.
speed of
So we're
light?
not talking light. Yeah, we're not talking light speed.
Yeah, no.
Well, one
'Cause then
thing.
it starts to feel like the Flash.
Yeah.
Well, granted, I know you don't want. You probably want to use as less Insomniac inspiration as possible, but I think the point launch mechanic
Point launch.
lets you.
I mean, that's very much similar to the web strike.
No. I'm saying like.
I mean,
The
not
point-
from my game. I mean, from Web of Shadows, because you know how you web strikes and you jump off of them.
Yeah. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking specifically like that. I'm talking like if you. It's hard to describe it without visually showing. I don't know if I can stream in this and you'll be able to see it because last time you weren't able to see it. I mean, I can try, I guess. So
What are you talking about?
let me just show a visual example. This is what I think, just purely in terms of movement, like character movement. I think this is something that would add to.
So, do you prefer, as you go about that, do you prefer the as far as the movement in Stellar Blade, as opposed to, let's say, Arkham?
I think. Damn, that's kind of a weird one because they're very different. I think.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say Stellar Blade. I mean, Bayonetta. That's the one I was thinking of.
So I think.
Or even Stellar Blade, because there's a weightiness to them that Bayonetta doesn't really have.
So 1 second. I don't know if I can. I don't know if it's gonna let me stream. This is my Streamlabs. This is weird.
But one move I definitely wanted was definitely the
Well,
2099 slam to the ground.
see, the thing with Arkham though is like it feels not as. All right, can you see my screen right now?
Let me see. Watch stream. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so the thing with Arkham is it kind of feels like. Let me just go to this real quick. So, like, when you're moving around the environment like this, I feel like this is a really bad area to show it often. But, like, when you're doing like this, I feel like the point launch really helps. Or even, like, charge jumping and stuff like that. Like, I feel like the point launch really keeps you, like, moving and stuff.
Where are you point launch? Oh, okay, I see it.
So, like, this is a
Do
bad.
people play like you play like that?
A lot of.
What's the
people
reason
play it.
for using the point launch like that?
I mean, I could show you a lot of people. I'm not as good as like the people who are really crazy at this game's combat system, but like, it's just fun to kind of like bounce around like that. Like, if I get to, let me go to a base, for example, because it's probably a better example. Hunter's bases.
Time to get rid of these hunters.
All right, so can you notice me? Can you notice me, please? Okay.
Plenty of web to go around.
So like, no, I was talking to the guy. Sorry. So like, shit like that.
Let's see. Wait, what?
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Like, alright, I messed it up. Let me restart.
Wonder if these hunters missed me.
So there's stuff like, notice me? Alright, so like, when you do shit like that point launch kick, or like, if you, like, you see how quickly I'm moving around, and you like, kind of feel like Spider-Man? Shit like that. I'm not doing it the best right now, but This is another reason why I think the bounce mechanic is like something that would be neat if you were to mix it with the physics of your game. But like, you see how you're like zipping around, like mixing, like either it's charge jump or like shit like that. I feel like moving around like this in a Spider-Man game is like key. I think that kind of gets the point across.
Okay, so we're point launching to canceling out that animation to another point launch.
So another thing, well, for visual reference, just of what I was kind of talking about earlier. So like, let's say I have the web linking these two guys in here. Okay, I just wanted to pull people up in the air. I guess not. So like, all right, like this, for example. So like, let's say I'm Spider-Man and I wanted to use the web linking and I linked it to this, and now they have a link between them. And then you could use the point launch, go in between them, and then they would kind of smack into each other.
So you would interact with the web line that they're attached to.
Yeah. Like, let me... Oh, I died. Okay. Let me just... Because you can use web lines in this game, just not in the way I would like them to be.
I think the physics would be... I mean, that would be part physics and part actual animation.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm thinking the physics would be between the two characters that would then make it, you know, I don't know, a pawn or something in the game engine that you would then be able to interact with.
Well, yeah, like if you had the... Let's say you had the web line set up... No, that's not what I wanted. Let's say you had the web line set up like this or something. So like if there was this enemy right here, for example, and the web line was... Like if you had the linking mechanic, it would obviously be a lot easier to link them. But like, let's say you bring this girl right here. You kick her into this. Okay. You kick her into that or something, and then she would like bounce back towards you, and then you can clothesline her. Like that's kind of similar to what I was talking about earlier with the other web linking stuff. Or you could just, you know, have it set up like this, and you could just kind of keep doing shit like that. One other mechanic that's in this game that's not really intentional is like that. You like pull them up in the air and then kind of slingshot to them. But yeah.
So the only thing I'm thinking that irritates me with the web linking is that you would have to slow down the game, kind of like with the web wheel. I don't know if that would take people out of.
I don't think it will. I don't think it would, purely because of the creativity aspect of it. Like, I think the gadget wheel in Spider-Man PS4, like, you look at the... Like, if you were to look up, just in your free time, look up, like, crazy Spider-Man PS4 combos. Someone I know named Sony Symbiotic. If you go to his channel, and you look at, like, how he played Spider-Man PS4, for example, you'll kind of see why it's like once you just get used to it, it's not really a bother. I think the if I'm being honest, I think the people that complained about the gadget wheel, granted I think the system they have now is a bit better, but it's not like I'm going crazy for it. It's like I'm not over the moon about the change. It's just like a bit of an improvement. It's just like I think the most of the people that complained about the gadget wheel in Spider-Man PS4 were just kind of like casuals that weren't that good at the combat system.
I mean, though, that's going to be a good chunk of the player base.
Do you want to cater to casuals, or do you want to cater to people who are like putting the time to get good at your game, though?
I mean, I think there's an ability to allow both to experience the game. That's the thing. I think those are the best games where it's like both players can have fun. Those that actually want to learn the depth of the mechanics.
Yeah.
Versus those who want to just like, I just want to push X and cool shit happen.
Yeah, but like, I feel like I don't think that like slowing down time is that will really pull people out of it like that. Especially if you're doing cool shit with that. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, I don't disagree with you. But how I view things, like, some people are less creative when it comes to like gaming. So unless you show them, hey, you can do this, and give them some ideas and possibilities, they're just gonna be like, yo, this is dumb. If you get me. Whereas opposed to other players who are like, yo, they're gonna experiment. Like, I wonder if this is possible.
I feel like you kind of just have to have that level of depth. I feel like that's the level of depth that like gets praised. Like there's always, it doesn't matter what game you really make. If you make a game that's like super catered to casuals and there's no like, okay, I'm gonna have fun with the depth, then it just gets boring really quickly. I feel like, because the better you get at a game, the more you kind of want to play around and experiment with the systems within it. So like I feel like even for casuals, even if they don't want to get that creative, they're still going to get bored quicker if you don't have a certain level of creativity within it.
Gotcha.
That's not just like bare bones.
Do you not find the finishers fun?
They're fun. They're fun to do. Like I don't dislike them. I think that other stuff is more fun though. Like if like finishers are like stuff that you kind of do like after. I feel like are more fun to do. Like if you do like, I'm not good enough at the game to honestly pull off some of the shit I've seen, but I can probably show you an example of like how crazy people can get. Real quick. So, all right, you can still see the stream.
Yeah.
So you go to, actually, Menace, Spider-Man to combat. So this guy, he does some really crazy stuff. I want to find one. I think this is. I don't know if I've seen this clip before, but
see, I don't understand the purpose of this.
it's just fun to do.
Yeah? Okay.
Like this is kind of what people would use the finisher for. Like after that, it would lead into like a finisher or like this part is. I have seen this before, yeah. Like just having fun with the physics system of even this game. It's just fun to do this kind of stuff.
Really? Okay. That's interesting. Cause I see, yeah, that's the one of the reasons I don't like. I'm not a big fan of the air combos and everything, cause it's just like, yo, I would feel like it get boring after a while just having someone in the air.
Not necessarily.
I don't know. Do you think that the majority player base is doing stuff like that? I don't think so.
No, because I don't think people are good enough to do shit like that. But I think to have this level of depth and like just fun to be had with messing with enemies. Because like granted, this is the enemy he's toying around with, right? Like this is a singular or a separated enemy. Like he's separated from the pack. Whereas like if you go back to the actual game, it's like you're still being engaged even when you're doing air combos because you'll have people from the ground trying to shoot you or throw up like the little web net, the electric net. It's like you can still have engagement, like stuff that makes you want to do a mix of ground and air combos while still being engaged, like dodging attacks and stuff like that.
Got you. Okay, so I think because at first I was thinking that the dodge and everything was going to be the selling point, but it seems further looking into the game that the web linking would probably be what I should go deep into.
Yeah, I think absolutely.
Yeah. I saw some rigs you were working on some live streams. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Those are just side rigs for the animation channel. Eventually, want to start a workshop that those rigs would be used in. But yeah, that's all those were.
Nice.
They're kind of demos, test runs for the rigs for the game, essentially.
Gotcha.
Just getting a smooth pipeline and
How,
design.
how is the enemy variety looking?
Well, that's the thing. If we're going deep with I haven't fleshed out the enemy variety to that extent. My focus has been on Spider. That's where I've been
Just the
focusing
moves
on.
you can do.
Yeah, just seeing what he can do, and then creating enemies around that. Right? Obviously, I would want a shield enemy of some type, but I just think the shield enemy in every game for the most part just gets boring. It's just I get it. It's a shield guy. Like I want some type of spin on the shield guy. That's what I'm thinking. So when it comes to removing the shield, like I get you're gonna have to remove the shield, but there has to be some type of creative way to remove the shield. But that's also not so time consuming where it's like, oh my god, it becomes a hassle instead of fun. So one of the things I was thinking of would be like a double tap of the web yank, right? So one tap, and you can use the directional to smack an enemy, right? Throw a gun at somebody or throw it back at them, and you would just double tap it because it would shoot more webs out for the shield enemy. Now the thing is, you're gonna need some time because I just like the button tapping. I think it's engaging enough for what you're doing. That would take some time. So there would be, the risk reward of taking, isolating the enemies and then finally getting the shield guy. And then you open them up as usual.
Okay.
Or you have the option of the web strike, where if you time it just right, you can instantly break the shield.
I think two things. One thing to add on to what you just said. I think, you know how when you like web strike, and if you don't time like big enemies in like Spider-Man 2, they'll like hit you if you don't dodge it or parry it. I think if you
Gotcha, yeah.
Yeah, so I think if you did something like that, where like let's say you had an enemy that have like like either spikes or electricity will come out of their shield if you don't time it, so you get hit if you don't time it correctly at certain points, just so you're always on your toes. Another thing I think would just kind of be funny is if you use
I agree with that, because I definitely want some like Elden Ring, Dark Souls type of timing with that, because I always love that. Yeah. I think that's what makes it fun. But I just mean as far as the removing of the shield.
That's what I mean. Well, that's what I was gonna get into.
Okay.
Next was the I think something that could be funny is if you like, let's say you have like a roof above you, or even like a wall next to you, or a pole or something, and you use the web link, like you link it to the shield, and then you link it to the wherever, like the pole, wall, ceiling. You can have it be randomized, and have it like sometimes the enemy will keep holding on to the shield, so they also get sent flying wherever you linked them to, or they'll just let the shield go. I think that would be something that would be funny.
Okay.
Do you want it to be like difficult to remove the shield from them?
I don't want it to be. I want it to be more of a hassle, because there are games where it's like, okay, it's just an added step, and I'm like, it becomes more of an annoyance as opposed to, damn, it's like a mini boss or something like that. Yeah. So I just want now, possibly when it comes to like more elite enemy types who have shields, maybe there's a more difficult mechanic to remove the shield. Maybe you have to triple tap it or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could have certain enemies with shields that like you can't just take it out of their hands like at all unless you do the timing correctly thing. But then you could also have enemies where you can also do the timing correctly mixed with the web link stuff that I just said.
Yeah. Well, with the web link, I think that would be accessible at any time.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was going to be tied to the web meter, like the ability to use the web link mechanic.
Oh, the web meter. Yeah.
I feel like that would
be. I mean, you would be able to use it at any time as long as you have meter.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, because that would be a little unbalanced if it wasn't like that. Yeah, I think that works. That's good. I think you could also have enemies like the electric enemies in Arkham where you can't
Yeah.
touch them. You could have
Mhm.
something like that as well. I remember talking about
Well, how do
having
you defeat them? So you would have to web up their hands or something, or
uh
web them up.
probably use the web link again.
How would you use the web link on that?
So like you know how the grapple, you have to grapple, use the bat claw to get rid of the electricity.
Okay.
It would kind of be the same thing. Either you use the yank.
Maybe objects.
Yeah, objects could also do it.
Like I have to throw something into him.
Yeah, you can try
Yeah.
that. Another thing we can think of is if the web shooters get improved over time with upgrades, maybe you could create like a electro-proof one that you can unlock with rewards.
So what I was thinking with that, I'm debating it, but I was thinking of, I don't know if you guys know the Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know how he has a web shield where he
Yeah.
webs his body and it protects him from bullets?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking something like that. And then you can have, an electric shield as well. Because the original shield, how they have it in Web of Shadows and other games where it's an actual web shield,
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to modernize it just a little bit. And I think that was a cool part of Superior Spider-Man where he webs himself up and it, is like this shield over his body.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like the other things are more streamlined. I feel like that's just like unnecessary. Like the whole, like doing that to get rid of those kind of enemies. Because like, what would the purpose be to give yourself more health? Essentially, when you're not dealing with those kind of enemies.
Well, it would act as a damage buff or a shield
damage
buff. That's what it would be. It would be a shield buff.
Okay. Yeah, that makes. I guess that makes sense. It would be good to use if it's balanced well with the web bar. I forget how exactly do you go about gaining it? Is it just through the combos, like the web meter?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And then the hypersense would be tied to like dodges.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I believe that was tied to the dodgers and stuff.
I remember we talked about the like throughout every level there would be a level or an enemy type that would be themed around the certain boss that would be at the end of the level. I remember we talked about that before. Did you
An
talk
enemy
about
type?
that?
No. I didn't hear. I don't remember that. An enemy type that was themed around the boss.
Yeah, so like I remember we were talking about like let's say you fought Doc Ock by the end of the level. There would be like Doc Ock-esque enemies.
Oh,
in the
okay,
game.
got you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, all of that's possible. It's just
Budget.
it's not necessarily, but it's just all that has to be modeled and then animated. That's the only
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But then you have to, come up with attacks for that. I mean, I could come up with like cookie cutter attacks, but I feel like that lowers the quality of the game.
You could have combo strings that the certain enemies have.
Doesn't that get repetitive though?
No. Especially if it's fresh. Like I was saying earlier with like if you're being introduced to a bunch of new enemy types consistently, as well as getting new moves unlocked, that inherently keeps the game fresh and less boring.
Because I would also want these enemy types to have specific ways to take them down, possibly, or that could be convoluted, right? Because if you have, let's say, I don't know, say there's 5 arenas or something, and each 5 arenas have 5 different specific enemies tied to the main boss, and say you have, an arena, it's a freestyle arena, that would get. I feel like that would be pretty intense to have 5 different ways to take down these mini bosses.
Yeah, I don't think... I feel like with mini bosses, you need to balance it out more. Like, I think... for example, if you're gonna use the Doc Ock enemy type, right? You could use like the web link. You would have to pin down the arms before you attack, and then when you get to the actual boss fight, that would be even harder to do. So like the mini bosses could kind of be like mini versions of the boss fight, just more dumbed down.
Got you. But the thing is with that,
Well, like
I'm
it
just thinking of
prepares you, you know?
no, I agree. I agree of having something that prepares you for the final boss. But I don't know if I want the final boss at every level to be a secret, right? So where I don't want the enemy to be a smaller version of the main boss to just to give that excitement and
Gotcha. Well, so if you want it to be a secret, then I feel like just don't have those enemies, like the themed enemies in those specific levels.
or have them with the boss.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's say Chameleon was one of the bosses. You could even have like a special level where like all of those mini boss enemies were like throughout the level. That could, if you wanted the Chameleon to be a secret.
Wait, what do you mean?
Let's say you had a Chameleon as like the secret boss. Let's say it's like level 4 or 5 or something like that. You would have all the mini bosses that you were themed after, because Chameleon can like clone himself, or not clone himself, fucking like change his appearance and stuff. You would have the mini bosses from the other bosses, from the other themed shit from the other levels. They would all be in that level where the final boss is the Chameleon. And then the Chameleon could be like a matchup of the different bosses that you fight.
Okay, I get you. I just don't know how that would work out for other enemies.
What do you mean?
For like other bosses.
I mean, for other bosses, it would just be like the same as like the like what I was talking about earlier. Like if it's not just Chameleon, is that what you're saying? Like if you wanted to be a secret and it's not just Chameleon?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Then I guess for that, just don't have those enemies in there. I mean, you could still have a new mini boss be introduced in that level, just not themed.
Gotcha. Okay. Did you guys ever check out Neo, the Matrix game that I was talking about?
I've not. I've been
Not yet.
other stuff.
Gotcha. You should check out the combat, and so you can get an understanding of what I'm talking about. I mean, you can YouTube it. The path was it the path of Neo?
I mean, I can
combat?
look it up. I can look it up right now.
Because that's where the linking is coming from when it comes to combat. Not the web linking, but the other one.
Neo combos. Path of Neo stylish combo. Okay, let's see.
I've just been trying to think of a way. Just like the designer said, he said to have it more of a time thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. On my end, I'm seeing him take on a bunch of dudes. They're kind of like slowing down in time.
Well, this is what
Yeah,
it
you
looks
see
like.
how it
for
has the
me.
buttons where you press it?
Yeah, okay.
I don't see it. Well, I just started mine. I don't see like the linking yet.
He'll do it where he'll take down like 3 enemies or 4 enemies. I think the max is 3 in that game.
Let's see.
What about grinding on buildings and stuff that was never addressed? Fortunately, there is no web swinging in this game, so there is no grinding on buildings. Maybe there's a move where you can grind on a building on the side or something, but yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Or webbing to a car and surfing on the road. Well, I don't want to bite the style of Web of Shadows too much. That's the thing.
Was this the linking thing you were talking about? What he just did?
Let me see. Hold on. Let me watch this trend. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
So like, okay. Yeah, that was like very different than what I was talking about. Oh, yeah.
What were you talking about?
Like the web linking, like what I was
Yeah,
talking
no,
about.
no, no.
how it's
Web linking. No,
interactive.
I agree with the web linking and stuff like that. I'm talking about when it comes to combat linking.
Yeah. Yeah, this is good. Not a
So
big
instead of
fan
hitting a
of
button, I'm
the.
thinking of like the dude said was to make it at a time sequence. And you
Yeah.
just use the analog stick to find who you want to link up to.
I think if
link
you
up to
are
other
gonna
person.
take inspiration from this, I feel like to cool it on the slow mo, because I feel like a lot of slow mo all the time would get really annoying after a while. Like it would be cool when you first start, but then the more you play, it'd just be like, this is kind of annoying.
No, yeah, it wouldn't be slow mo. I think they do that just because it was Matrix.
Yeah, like this right here. Like I just feel like that would just get boring.
Yeah,
after
well,
a
he
while.
has focus activated. That's why.
Yeah,
So
I
focus slows things
yeah,
down.
I know what you're saying. All right. Yeah, I think that kind of wraps up all I got to say earlier. All I can think of, unless there's anything.
Well, I
you,
got something right now. So, in terms
Okay.
of the Emerald Titan, we'll say, what
Mhm.
exactly do you have in store for him once we as the player go up against him?
In regards to what do you mean?
Well, just like what's the general feel when we actually fight him? Like, what's it gonna be like?
Like the general feel? What do you mean by the general feel? Like
Like the combat
give me an
for it?
example or something.
Well, like yeah, like how do you
Combat. I
take
haven't
him
even
down?
thought
What
of
does it do to you?
what. I haven't even thought about that yet. I
Damn.
haven't even addressed any of the enemies. I've been focused on solidifying the combat of how that looks and how that feels. Because
Gotcha.
once that's nailed down, then I know what I can work with when it comes to enemies and bosses and stuff like that. Like
Okay.
even with the whole environmental thing of that pairing with the flow of the web link, that's something that that opens the door of possibilities.
Gotcha. Well, in terms of boss fights, I do have a suggestion for them.
Go for it.
One of them we gotta go up against is the Black Conservative Perspective.
What about Brian Intihar as a boss?
Oh,
I think about
I love that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a secret unlockable true ending boss fight, something like that.
I mean, I'm still feeling the horse with a gun. I think that's a pretty neat one.
The horse with a gun. That is wild. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. What I got for right now.
All right.
Interesting, yeah. It sucks that we couldn't get Comic Legend of League Entertainment here. Although something
Fuck League
interesting you might want to know about him. He hates the Spider-Man 2 game just like you.
Really?
He can go on for hours.
Man,
about
what?
How bad
Why
the
wasn't
story
he
is.
here?
I don't know. He was sick and it just came up. So he's gonna be out of commission for some time. But
Really?
yeah, but if you want some Spider-Man 2 talk at some
Dang.
point, you two gotta chit chat.
What's his name?
Comic Legend. His channel is League Entertainment. I can link it and we can share it here.
Comic Legend. Yeah, I'm sure he probably has some interesting thoughts
Yeah.
about what not to do. Dang,
Yeah, if you
that's
want,
crazy.
I can pull up a stream where both of us were on. We were talking about the story of the game. Because I also think it's pretty bad as a story. But if you want, if on your own time, if you want to listen, there's that.
Will do. Very interesting stuff.
All right.
Spider-Man 2 debate.
All right, y'all. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
Later.
Later.
See ya. Dude, if we had Liam here, that would have been fucking hilarious.
I know, dude. That just me. Oh, when we can get Comic Legend on next, and we can do another one of these. Oh man. Oh Jesus.
Oh, gee. Oh, gee. Are we watching Top Gun? Or what are we watching?
Oh damn.
I actually should probably end my stream.
Yeah, I should probably
Thank
end
you to
mine as
everyone.
well.
Thank you to everyone for coming out.
Yeah. Great updates
But
to
that
hear.
will be the end of the stream, pimpins.
Yeah.